Imagine if you could remember names, ideas, lessons, books, conversations, and important moments without struggling. Imagine listening to something once and not feeling it disappear the next day. Most people believe memory is a gift. They think either you are born with a good memory or you are not. That belief is wrong. Memory is not magic. Memory is a skill. And like every skill, it can be trained, shaped, and strengthened. The reason most people forget almost everything is not because their brain is weak, it is because they never learned how memory actually works. They try to remember everything the same way, even though the brain was never designed to work like a storage box. Your brain is not a hard drive, it is more like a storyteller. It remembers meaning, emotion, patterns, and importance. If something feels boring, meaningless, or rushed, your brain quietly lets it go. Think about this. You can remember scenes from a movie you watched years ago. You can remember a song from childhood. You can remember an embarrassing moment in detail, but you forget what you studied last week. This is not because the movie or song was more intelligent. It is because your brain decided it mattered. Emotion and attention locked it in. To remember everything, you must stop trying to memorize and start learning how to make information meaningful. The first truth you must accept is simple. Forgetting is normal. Forgetting is not failure. Forgetting is the brain protecting itself from overload. Every second, your brain receives massive amounts of information. If it remembered everything equally, you would be overwhelmed. So your brain filters. It keeps what feels important and deletes the rest. The key to remembering more is learning how to tell your brain, this matters. Attention is the doorway to memory. If your attention is weak, your memory will be weak. Most people live in distraction. They read while checking messages, they listen while thinking about something else, they watch while scrolling. Then they wonder why nothing stays in their mind. The brain cannot remember what it never truly noticed. If you want to remember something, you must be present with it. When you read, read. When you listen, listen. When you learn, learn. Even a few minutes of deep attention is more powerful than hours of distracted exposure. Memory begins at focus. Another reason people forget is speed. They rush information into their brain and expect it to stay. The brain needs time to process. When you slow down, understanding increases. And when understanding increases, memory becomes natural. You do not remember because you forced it, you remember because it made sense. Understanding always beats repetition. If you repeat something without understanding, you are building a weak memory. If you understand something deeply once, it can stay with you for years. Ask yourself why and how instead of just what. When your brain connects ideas, it remembers them better. Emotion is one of the strongest memory anchors. You remember what makes you feel something. That is why stories are powerful. Facts alone fade, stories stay. When you learn something new, attach emotion to it. Be curious, be surprised, be impressed. Even slight emotional reactions can make a huge difference. This is why teaching others improves memory. When you explain something, your brain organizes it. It fills gaps. It strengthens connections. Teaching turns information into ownership. Even if you teach an imaginary audience, the effect is real. Speak it out loud. Explain it simply. Your brain remembers what it can explain. Another powerful truth is that memory loves structure. Random information is hard to remember. Connected information is easy. Your brain remembers patterns, not isolated facts. When you connect new information to something you already know, you give it a home. Without a home, it gets lost. Think of memory like a web. Every connection makes it stronger. The more links an idea has, the harder it is to forget. This is why relating new ideas to real life works so well. When information becomes personal, it becomes memorable. Repetition still matters, but not in the way most people think. Reading the same thing again and again without engagement does very little. Smart repetition happens over time. When you revisit information after a gap, your brain works to retrieve it. That effort strengthens memory. Easy recall does not build strong memory. Struggling to remember does. Sleep is another hidden pillar of memory. Many people underestimate it. Sleep is when the brain organizes and stores information. If you cut sleep, you cut memory. You may feel productive, but your brain pays the price. Deep sleep turns short-term learning into long-term memory. Without it, information stays fragile and fades quickly. Movement also supports memory. The brain and body are connected. Physical activity increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain. It sharpens focus and improves learning. Even small movements, like walking while thinking, can improve recall. A still body often leads to a dull mind. Your environment affects memory more than you think. Noise, clutter, and constant interruptions weaken attention. A calm space helps the brain focus and encode information properly. You do not need perfection, you need consistency. Train your brain to associate learning with a specific environment. One of the biggest memory killers is stress. When you're anxious, your brain shifts into survival mode. Memory becomes less important. This is why people forget things during pressure. Calm minds remember better. Breathing deeply, slowing down, and relaxing your body improves recall instantly. Another important idea is that memory improves with intention. If you tell yourself something is important, your brain listens. Before learning something, say to yourself, "I will need this." That simple intention increases retention. Your brain responds to purpose. Visualization is another natural memory tool. The brain thinks in images. Words are abstract, images are concrete. When you turn information into a mental picture, it sticks. Even simple or strange images work better than plain text. The clearer the picture, the stronger the memory. Your brain also remembers better when information is broken into chunks. Large blocks overwhelm it. Small pieces feel manageable. When you divide information naturally, your brain stores it more efficiently. This is why phone numbers are grouped. Structure helps memory breathe. Another overlooked factor is curiosity. When you are genuinely curious, your brain opens up. It becomes alert. Learning feels lighter. Forced learning creates resistance. Curious learning creates flow. Ask questions not because you have to, but because you want to know. Belief also plays a role. If you believe you have a bad memory, your brain follows that instruction. If you believe memory can improve, your brain adapts. The brain is flexible. It changes with use. Every time you practice remembering, you are training it. Forget the idea of remembering everything forever. That's not the goal. The goal is remembering what matters. The brain is selective by design. When you respect that, memory becomes a partner, not an enemy. Your lifestyle also shapes your memory. Poor nutrition, dehydration, and lack of sunlight reduce mental clarity. The brain needs fuel. Water, movement, and light all support cognitive function. A tired brain forgets easily. One of the most powerful ways to remember is reflection. At the end of the day, think about what you learned, even for a few minutes. Reflection tells the brain that information is valuable. It strengthens neural pathways. What you review, you remember. What you ignore, you lose. Silence also helps memory. Constant noise overloads the brain. Moments of quiet allow processing. In silence, thoughts settle. Memory organizes itself. Do not fear silence, use it.
Another important truth is that memory improves when learning feels safe. Fear blocks memory. Shame blocks memory. Pressure blocks memory. When you allow yourself to learn imperfectly, your brain relaxes. Relaxed brains remember better. Mistakes also strengthen memory. When you get something wrong and correct it, the memory becomes stronger. The brain notices the error and adjusts. Do not fear mistakes. They are memory builders. Your brain remembers stories because stories have sequence, beginning, middle, end. When you turn information into a narrative, memory follows naturally. Even technical information can be turned into a simple story. The brain loves flow. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily learning builds stronger memory than rare long sessions. Memory grows with use. Like a muscle, it weakens when ignored and strengthens when trained. You do not need special talent to remember well. You need awareness. You need patience. You need respect for how your brain works. Memory is not about forcing information in. It is about inviting it to stay. As you apply these ideas, something changes. You stop chasing memory and start cooperating with it. Learning becomes lighter. Forgetting becomes less painful. Confidence grows. Remember this. Your brain wants to remember. It just needs the right conditions: attention, meaning, emotion, rest, repetition, calm, connection. When you give your brain these things, remembering becomes natural. You may not remember everything instantly. That is okay. Progress matters. Awareness matters. Every step improves your memory. The more you understand how memory works, the less mysterious it becomes. And the less mysterious it becomes, the more control you gain. You are not broken. Your memory is not weak. It was simply never trained properly. Now you know better. And when you know better, you remember better.